Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back on the final day of the 12 Days of Christmas with my review of To All a Good Night.
I'm dreaming of a
Fright.
Christmas.
Well, we've already made it through all 12 days of this year's Fright Christmas Fest. It goes by fast, doesn't it? It always does. For this 12th and final day, I decided to return to a movie I reviewed for the Slashback Challenge during Christmas in July week a few years back. Although I've seen it quite a few times, it's been a while since I've watched it. In fact, I believe that was the last time I watched To All a Good Night. Until now, that is. Despite having reviewed it during the Slashback Challenge already, being a Christmas slasher, I felt that To All a Good Night needed to be part of the 12 Days of Christmas at some point. So, here we are. Directed by the late great David Hess of The Last House on the Left fame, among other things, To All a Good Night is a 1980 Christmas slasher film. A group of sorority sisters stay behind in the house while everyone else returns home for Christmas break. With the house mother and superintendent away, they decide to sneak in some guys to mess around during the Christmas holiday. The guys arrive in a private plane. That's right, a private plane. And with that, the holiday hijinks commence. Unfortunately, the women do not heed the warning of groundskeeper Ralph. Yes, To All a Good Night has its very own Crazy Ralph. And just like the one from Friday the 13th, he's a prophet of doom. That's not the only thing this movie has in common with Friday the 13th. They were both released the same year, although To All a Good Night was released before Friday the 13th. That's important to keep in mind if and when you watch this. Some say To All a Good Night is a Christmas ripoff of Friday the 13th. But how can that be so when this came out first? I think it's all just one big coincidence. But back to the story. Ralph's warnings go unacknowledged, and one by one, the sorority sisters and their boyfriends are killed off by a maniacal Santa. After all, it's almost Christmas, and everyone is being naughty. What I love about this psycho Santa Claus in To All a Good Night is it's not just a killer in a Santa beard and hat. It's an actual Santa Claus mask. It's creepy, too. I love the look of it. In addition to the killer's Santa costume, there are Christmas decorations, such as Christmas trees and Christmas lights. There are also some wreaths here and there and Christmas presents. Other than that, though, To All a Good Night doesn't have much of a Christmas feel, but I think that's due to the location. It looks more tropical than anything else. Regardless, it's still clearly a Christmas slasher. This was the first feature film role for Jennifer Runyon, who went on to play in Ghostbusters, Charles in Charge, an episode of Beverly Hills 90210, and other things. She's really cute in this, as the innocent sorority sister, Nancy. The rest of them are very promiscuous, and just about every other female in this movie gets naked at some point. There is a lot of sex and gratuitous nudity in To All a Good Night, making it a good night to all of us. It's pretty much what you'd expect from a traditional 80s slasher film, especially one set at a sorority house. The acting is really cheesy, but it's so entertaining. To All a Good Night is a sleaze fest, cheese fest, and that's a great way to describe it, I think. There are some cop characters that are maybe the most incompetent in the history of the slasher genre. They make even the cops in Halloween 5 look adequate. The kills are pretty fun, especially the crossbow arrow through the back of the head and out through the mouth. That's followed by a decapitation by axe, while the killer dons a suit of armor. The head later makes an appearance as it's jammed onto the shower head. Of course, this is discovered during a shower scene featuring more gratuitous nudity. David Hess really loved the exploitation, didn't he? It all leads up to a wild series of twists that will probably leave you scratching your head. Honestly, I think it's the ending that makes this one such a standout. This movie is highly sought after on VHS, but this here is the DVD release from Kino Lorber. The desire for this one has a lot to do with that ending, I think. Why is a certain character doing what she's doing? I won't spoil it, but if you've seen this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Have you seen To All a Goodnight? If so, what do you think of it? Comment below and let me know. Well guys, that does it for the 12 Days of Christmas 2022. But don't forget to check back tomorrow on Christmas Eve, when I rank all 12 movies I watched and reviewed this year. Thank you for watching my Fright Christmas Fest. Hit that thumbs up and, be kind, subscribe.